You are listening to Belly Birth Beyond with Pelvic Floor Mama. I'm your host, Becca Boving, pelvic rehab certified coach and mom of two. Welcome to the safe space where no topics of motherhood are off limits and judgment is left at the door. Too many mamas are dismissed when they've got valid concerns. If you're sick of hearing that's normal when it feels otherwise, keep listening. Hey mama, welcome back to Belly Birth Beyond with Pelvic Floor Mama. If you did not check out last week's interview with Emily, you need to go back and listen to it. Truly such a great conversation. She is a birth doula. She has a lot of services and support to provide and to offer. Today, though, I wanted to talk about what the heck your pelvic floor is and all of the misconceptions that surround pelvic health. I mentioned in the first episode how many things there are about our bodies that we just don't know. And it's so frustrating. So today on this episode, we're going to dive into all of the myths and misconceptions. And I would love to hear your thoughts on, did you know this? Is this something new? And what do you think about it? So first, let's just talk about your pelvic floor. What the heck is it? Your pelvic floor is actually several muscles. It's comprised of 3 different layers of muscles within your vaginal canal, essentially. Okay, so this is why like insertion, things like that, that is your pelvic floor. It is responsible for supporting your organs, like your uterus, your bowel, your bladder. And so because it's responsible for giving these organs support, it's also responsible for pregnancy because baby grows in the uterus. But this also means it contributes to bladder and bowel problems. So if you are crossing your legs every time you cough and sneeze, if you are running to the bathroom, unable to make it in time, if you are having constipation or opposite, those types of things all resort to pelvic floor and pelvic floor involvement. It's also the station of pleasure or lack thereof, and menstruation and menopause and how hormones can affect that and how your pelvic floor can help support you throughout each stage of these. And we mentioned pregnancy and postpartum, so it supports you during pregnancy. Here's some myths. Your pelvic floor is actually not pushing your baby out for birth. So doing a bunch of kegels during your pregnancy, especially at the end of pregnancy, can cause tightness within your pelvic floor and make it more difficult for your baby to come through and have a longer labor process. Postpartum, your pelvic floor needs to heal, but it's also still supporting you. So you need to relearn your pelvic floor and how to heal your pelvic floor. So when you do things like stand up from the couch or get out of bed or pick up your baby, walk up the stairs, your pelvic floor is supporting you and your organs so you can minimize like the prolapse and the leaking and some of the pain that can occur postpartum. So some of the myths that I wanted to jump in here about, which we kind of just talked about, was if you are crossing your legs when you cough or sneeze, I do not care if you are pregnant, if you are postpartum, if you've never had a baby, because yes, I have worked with women who have never had a baby and who leak when they cough, sneeze, jump. It's not normal. It's common. It is so common. So I don't want you to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so abnormal and this is terrible. It is so common, but I want you to know that you don't have to live with that. And if you're stuck wearing a pad all the time, or you don't want to go to the trampoline park with your kids because you're worried you're going to leak and you don't have a change of clothes, that fear ends. And if you need some support, you just let me know, or you reach out to a local pelvic floor specialist in your area because you can find help. And a lot of times, this is another kind of that misconception, it's due to tightness within your pelvic floor. So just doing kegels is never the answer. Just doing kegels is never the answer. No matter what it is you're dealing with, there's so much more to it. If you've been to my free classes or you've taken my courses, you know that I don't even teach kegels ever. 90+% of women don't do a kegel appropriately. Maybe you're squeezing your butt, you're clenching your legs, you're holding your breath, you're tightening your core, and that's how you get your pelvic floor to engage. That is not how we contract our pelvic floor. You should be able to do a pelvic floor contraction with nothing else moving, squeezing, tightening, etc. So this ends the era of sitting at the red light doing 30 kegels. No more, mama. No more. Okay? That ends here today. If you are leaking when you're having these things and you're not sure where to start, part of the reason why kegels are not the answer is because you have to work on mobility of your body. So if you're having that tightness and the tension and your muscles can't, like, think about like a rubber band. If it can't fully expand and relax, then it can't actually work, right? So think about that like really tiny hair tie that you try to put in your thick hair and it doesn't go around. And so you can't put your hair up because it's too tight. Same thing, but your pelvic floor. That might have been a bad example, but you get my gist, okay? Pain is never normal. This is going to mind blow some of you. You hear my preach about pregnancy pain not being normal. It's common. I'm talking about hip pain, back pain, pelvic pain, pain with intercourse, pubic pain, pain rolling over, round ligament pain, any of those types of things. It's common and it's associated with pregnancy, but that doesn't mean you have to suffer with it. Pregnancy was never intended to be painful. This you probably already know. This may not be new to you. Next, painful menstrual cycles. Not normal. I just want that to sink in for a minute. If you are someone who is constantly cramping during your menstrual cycle and you're having pain all the time, maybe you can't go to work some days, or maybe you were the girl at school who menstrual cycle came and you were stuck home because it was physically debilitating. Not normal. It is so common. And so often, I'm going to jump into like a very taboo, controversial topic here, but so often it's just, here's some birth control. This will help you. But it doesn't help you. It just masks your symptoms for longer periods of time. And so now you have this dysfunction for years, sometimes decades, depending on how long you've been on it, and depending on what it is. And so now your body has to adjust and overcome when you do choose to come off of it. Menstrual cycles should not be painful. They were never intended for that. If that is happening, it could be a cause from your pelvic floor. It could be due to hormone imbalance, and just needing a little support. And this does not mean coming from birth control. This means like life changes, maybe a little bit of something in your diet or something that needs changed. If you want more information on this, I'm going to bring somebody in who is a period coach or who does education within the menstruation community. And we're going to talk about this because this is so important and it affects every single woman, every single one, not just mamas, everybody. So I will be bringing someone in to talk about menstruation and the common misconceptions that surround it and surround your bodies. Are you mind blown or what? Have you been suffering with cramps and painful periods and things of that nature for decades? Because you are not alone. There are so many friends that come to mind in high school who I hope have found some better solutions to the pain and like the terrible periods that they went through. And so many went on birth control and they had periods for months at a time, or they bled for months at a time. This is not normal. I'm going to get some resources for you. We're going to get some professionals on here. We're going to talk about menstruation coming up. Okay. In regards to pain with intercourse is never normal. Even if you just had a baby and even if you were pregnant, if you are having pain, and it might not even just be like intercourse, it could be insertion of a tampon, a cup, a speculum, an exam. If you have pain with any of these things, that is regards to your pelvic floor, and it should not be painful. It can be helped, and it should be helped. And so often I want to really emphasize like the postpartum side of things, because so often I feel like there's this huge misconception of you just had a baby. Yes, especially like vaginal births, you just had a baby. You need to allow your body some time to heal. If you tore, you need to do scar tissue mobilization to your scar, to the perineum, because a lot of times this is where the pain can take place. And this is where some of that tension that can occur in your pelvic floor takes place. So it's almost like thinking of doing that like perineal massage that you may have done before you had your baby. but now you're going to do it postpartum, or your partner can help you with it postpartum to help limit that scar tissue. It's going to be different after you have your baby. I'm not saying everything's the same and everything should be woohoo, great. It will be different. You may have to learn new positions. You may have to try different things. You are relearning your body, and your partner is too. Give yourself some grace with that. Make sure you really communicate, especially newly postpartum. Make sure you just don't jump into it. Really learn how you feel and how things feel. This goes into pleasure. If you have the inability to have pleasure or to reach climax, this is your pelvic floor. A huge part of your pelvic floor. Maybe you do reach climax, but it's just like a little flick or a little, okay, that was it. Pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor is responsible for these types of pleasure. I actually was on a podcast with Debrief Doula recently, and we talked about this with regards to pleasure, and she had asked, because so many moms ask if there is a way, like if there is a difference between moms or women in general who can have pleasure without clitoral stimulation, or vice versa, with just insertion or just clitoral and no insertion. And I can't remember the percentage. It's a large percentage, like 80 to 90% of women need clitoral stimulation in order to reach orgasm. So keep that in mind too. If you are one of those people, that's something to take into account. If you are having difficulty with this, it doesn't mean that it's going to be like that forever. There are things you can do with your pelvic floor to help seek pleasure in a better way. That is in regards to pelvic floor, some misconceptions. We're going to dive into the bathroom habits of your pelvic floor, because where are my mamas who hover over the seat all the time? Maybe you go to work and all day long you hover over the seat. So one of the coolest things, and I'm going to geek out about this, is your pelvic floor is one of the most retrainable muscles in your body, which means if you are leaking or having issues making it to the bathroom or anything like that, it can be fixed, and it can be fixed with usually relatively simple ways. Not surgery, not pills, nothing like that. It can be fixed with just some simple movement, understanding. Sometimes it's just knowledge and just knowing your body a little bit better, because we truly do not know. How many of you have actually known what your pelvic floor is, what it does, how to engage it, how to relax it? Like, we don't learn these things. And it is such a key point and a key part of our body. It's such an intimate part of our body, especially as women. Males also have pelvic floor, and it is also an intimate part of their body, but I feel like it's not as, things don't change as often. They don't have pregnancies, they don't have births, they don't have postpartum, they don't have menstrual cycles, they don't have all these other things that are going on that affect their everyday life, literally every day. Hormones. You have 28-day cycles, maybe more, maybe less. And every day it's different. Every day there's something else. Hormones. So bathroom habits, okay? If you are hovering over the toilet, stop. Sit your butt down. Sit your butt down on the toilet. Sit down. What happens when you sit down is your brain signals to your pelvic floor to relax, and that relaxation is what causes like the stream to come through. So if you are hovering over the toilet, you are pushing through your pelvic floor, which can create incontinence and things later. Because your pelvic floor is meant to relax, and there should be no pushing. It's just the relaxation of those muscles that allow that sphincter to let go and to allow the urine to come through. I know, we're getting into like bathroom habits. I'm telling you, nothing is TMI over here on this side. Nothing is TMI over on the side of motherhood. This goes into, don't be pushing your pee. Don't be pushing it out. You are a busy mom. You've got kids fighting. All you had to do was pee. Don't just sit down and push and rush. Allow your stream to come through without the pushing. When you're pushing, that's not how it's intended. It should be a relaxation process where your body relaxes, the stream comes through. So no more pushing. Even if you're in a hurry, no more pushing. Just in case bathroom trips. Remember, like, especially as a kid growing up, I mean, I do it to my kids too right now because long car rides. But it's like, oh, we're about to go somewhere. Did you go to the bathroom? Go potty just in case. just in case. Going potty just in case is teaching your bladder that you have to go more often. So if you're someone who like every time you leave your house, you use the bathroom, it's training your body to do that. Have you ever like gotten home and you open the garage door or you're trying to put the key in your door and all of a sudden you are dancing? You're doing the potty dance. You're like, I have to pee now. I have to go now. Right stinking now. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to pee my pants. If this is you, do you do this every time? Every time you get home, do you go straight to the bathroom? If you have kids, this may not be a thing anymore, right? Because I feel like if you have kids, you walk through the door, the last thing you get to do is use the bathroom. But this is your brain's way of like, it's training your brain that when you get home, it's signaling, oh, you have to use the bathroom and you have to go now. If this is you, try thinking about something else when you open that door, when you put the key there, whatever it is that triggers you that you have to go, try to think about something else and try to delay and see how that goes. Unless you like actually haven't gone to the bathroom in hours and hours, then do not delay. Okay. That also leads me into irritants because we talk about the just in case and that like urgency. And so if you are like a coffee drinker, caffeine, tea, you're no longer pregnant and you're having alcoholic beverages. And let's talk about the alcoholic beverages for just a second. No, this doesn't pertain to everybody, but especially remember going out or doing whatever and someone's like, I broke the seal. I have to pee all the time now. It's actually not really breaking the seal. What's happening is you're having more irritants in your bladder because alcohol, coffee, caffeine, those types of things irritate the bladder. And so you don't want to hold them in. You want to go. You want to get rid of them. So when your body's like, nope, you got to go. You got to get rid of these things. You should listen. So after you have your morning coffee, you always have to run in the bathroom. But then after that, and you're drinking water, if you still feel like you're running to the bathroom every 30 minutes, that is not what is intended. Even if you are pregnant, you should not be running to the bathroom every 30 minutes. No, ma'am. We got to work on that a little bit. So if you do not have irritants in your bladder, you can hold off going to the bathroom. If you feel like you're someone who's constantly running. If you're like sitting here right now listening and you're like, I have no idea. I have some questions. Reach out to me. Let's chat about it. I want you to be comfortable and confident in your body and your body's changes. So this is a big one. The other thing too is on bathroom habits. If you are bearing down, holding your breath to have a bowel movement, maybe you have hemorrhoids during pregnancy or postpartum and you're in a lot of pain and this is super uncomfortable. Stop bearing down. Stop holding your breath. Get a squatty potty. Take some magnesium citrate. Always talk to your provider first. That is not a prescription. That is something that may help loosen your stools. That's better than Miralax and all those other stuff. But holding your breath, bearing down, that's going to increase the pressure. And that's going to increase the hemorrhoids. That's going to increase the pain with the hemorrhoids. It is so not comfortable. I have been there. Not going to lie. Second pregnancy, constipation was real. Hemorrhoids were real. Stop bearing down. Stop holding your breath. This goes true for giving birth. You need to breathe while you push or while your baby comes down. Stop holding your breath. You're like, how the heck do I use the bathroom then? We'll have to go over this. If you're like, I don't know how to go to the bathroom then, and I don't know how to prepare for labor. If you take my courses, you know I talk about preparing to push by practicing when you have a bowel movement. They truly are like the same thing or very similar. Don't hold your breath. Stop bearing down. If you are listening, you're like, gosh, I have the worst hemorrhoids ever. I can't sit down. It's terrible. The company, the brand is anything but. Literally, it says anything, B-U-T-T, anything but. They have this like cream that you can get and use. It is amazing. I use it on my kids' skin too, like eczema and things like that, because it helps like with that and the pain and the itching. Anything but. We'll put the link in the show notes here below, and you can take a look at them. I believe code PFM, like Pelvic Floor Mama, PFM, gives you a discount. But I have the product, I use it at my kids, and if you're having hemorrhoids, it can help relieve some of the pain that you're having while you are trying to practice better body mechanics when you go to the bathroom. Because it is not fun. And that is a huge part of pregnancy and postpartum that some moms think's taboo and won't talk about. And I know moms who are 2-3 years postpartum and they're still dealing with them. Stop holding your breath and bearing down. Okay. Everybody good on that? Now let's get into like motherhood. Think about all of the changes your body goes through with motherhood. Pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and your pelvic floor has to change and adapt through each stage. Pregnancy, your pelvic floor now has to be strong to support you, but not tight. And so often, pelvic floor becomes tight, and that's where the leaking and the pain and things like that take place. It's because we tuck our butts when we're pregnant or when we're a mom. We stand, we tuck our hips under, we are clenching our glutes all the time. And that's how we carry our child. That's how we walk. That's how we do dishes, how we do everything. Untuck your butt, unclench your cheeks. Let it go. Let it go. And then mom butt will get better. I hate that terminology, but I feel like everyone resonates with that. That's pregnancy, okay? At the end of pregnancy, you need to start working, if you haven't already been, on relaxation of your pelvic floor and your hips and your glutes, because that's going to make an easier birth for baby. If your baby has all these tight muscles they have to travel through, it's going to take longer. It's going to be harder. Think of it as like roadblocks coming down through the birth canal. Relaxation should start by third trimester, no later than 32 weeks. If you are later than that, you're like, I haven't done anything. Shoot. It is not too late for you. It truly is not too late for you. You can still do some things to help with your birth and help with your labor process and get the labor and the birth that you desire. Your pelvic floor is not pushing when it comes time. It is lengthening and moving the heck out of the way. It has to move out of the way for you to dilate and for baby to come through. That is why doing kegels at the end of pregnancy is not something that should be practiced, and the relaxation is so important. The relaxation is so important during pregnancy too, the end of pregnancy, because your hip flexors, like your psoas muscles, the round ligament, all of those things that have been holding your belly and your baby up for 9 to 10 months now have to relax to allow your baby to put more pressure on your cervix. Because if your baby's not pushing pressure on your cervix, you're not going to dilate more and go into labor. So if you get stuck at like 4, 5, 6 centimeters and you're not in labor, active labor, those types of things, relaxation. Or you're 40, 41 weeks, getting closer to 42 weeks, and you're not going into labor, and you're like, I'm going to go to an induction soon. I really don't want that to happen. Relaxation is so important. Working on relaxation of your pelvic floor. And then we talked about postpartum and how it now has to support you. So even if you're not exercising and working out and doing things between those 0 to 6 weeks, those 0 to 6 weeks are crucial. You are getting off the couch, you're walking, you're going up the stairs, you're carrying a baby, maybe you're carrying a car seat, you've got a diaper bag now, maybe you're trying to do laundry and laundry basket and grocery shopping or lifting groceries. You have all these other things that you are doing with your body. And if your pelvic floor isn't engaging or like working how we want it to and healing how we want it to, you're going to have things like prolapse and leaking and pain, like back pain. How many mamas postpartum have back pain? Woo, lots of them. Myself was included. Pelvic floor was life-changing. Gymnast for 16 plus years, plus coaching for 8, plus 2 pregnancies and all the things. I had some serious back pain, and I have never felt more relief from back pain than I did after I did pelvic floor with my second baby. Truly, I felt the strongest. And it was life-changing. I want that life-changing for you too. This leads me into cesarean mamas. I had a C-section, so I shouldn't be leaking or have pelvic pain or pain with intercourse or pelvic floor dysfunction. That's like, I avoided all of that by having a C-section. No, mama. No, you did not. Because what does your pelvic floor do during pregnancy? It supports you, supports your baby. Your pelvic floor makes up the bottom of your core. The bottom of your core. So your core and your pelvic floor are working together. What is this? What is a cesarean? It is cutting open your abdomen. It is moving the layers of muscle apart to get your baby out, and then stitching everything back up and moving the muscles back, and then stitching the fascias and everything back together. That's a major abdominal surgery. That is a major surgery that you are required to get up and take care of another human after, with no recovery and no physical therapy following. Why are we putting moms to suffer? I had a mom on my secrets course who ended up with a cesarean because of some complications. And 8 weeks postpartum, she messaged me. And this was before I had offered. I truly am just like, Mama, why didn't you reach out sooner? Like, I'm heartbroken about that. But she reached out to me and she's like, I wish people told me that because I had a C-section does not mean that I'm not going to have pain with intercourse or pain with this or pain with that. And I was like, let's hop on a call. Let's help you. How can I help support you throughout this? And so she's doing better now. But that is a huge misconception. I had a C-section, so why am I leaking when I cough, sneeze, etc.? Your pelvic floor makes up the bottom of your core. If your core was just compromised by a major abdominal surgery and you just carried your baby for upwards of 10 months, because that is pregnancy full term, you need to work on your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor needs attention. And one of the biggest mistakes that cesarean mamas make is they don't touch their scar, or you can't touch your scar, so you don't know how to start. Scar tissue mobilization after a C-section is so important. Desensitization of that scar so you don't have the tenderness with clothing or touching or anything like that is so important. If you're like a mama who's like, I have this shelf, like where my scar is, like my belly just kind of sits there and it seems unnatural and I'm having a hard time with my body image or losing weight or doing this, scar tissue mobilization, huge part of it. That can help eliminate that look and that feeling. And it can help make you more functional and your pelvic floor more functional. Core and pelvic floor work together, and we know that your pelvic floor affects every part of your body. It's responsible for the bathroom. It's responsible for pleasure. It's responsible for support. And it stays with you for life. It's not just a pregnant postpartum thing. It's forever. Perimenopausal, menopausal women, pelvic floor issues arise. Things change. We really need to work on supporting our hormones during these times. And that is so important. These are some things about your pelvic floor. I want to know, what did you not know? What was surprising? What help do you need? How can I support you? Drop me some messages and let me know about some of the misconceptions of your pelvic floor and what was most surprising, because I would love to hear them. I am so excited for next week's episode. We will be discussing all things intimacy related, I guess you can say, with sex coach Casey. So from pregnancy to postpartum to just motherhood, trying to conceive, everything. We're going to dive into that side of our life. And so I hope to see you there. See you next week. Nothing is TMI when it comes to motherhood, and common doesn't necessarily mean normal. Always trust your gut and never stop advocating for the care you deserve. If you enjoyed this podcast, help it reach more mamas like you by subscribing and leaving a review on your preferred listening platform. Keep in touch with me on Instagram by following Pelvic Floor Mama. See you next time.